unbiased sample is a small replica of the entire population. It's extremely hard to truly come up with an unbiased sample of anything. Whether it's people or equipment or whatever, when you're collecting these things, it's just really hard. As long as you have people involved, we have biases. Whether we realize them, and that's the main problem, is a lot of times we don't even realize that we have a certain bias. If, like, this class might be, I don't know, but it might be a unbiased sample of the entire school. Probably not, because in this class, I think everybody's a senior. So that wouldn't be a very unbiased sample of our high school. Maybe an unbiased sample of the senior class, maybe, but then again, maybe not. So, but it is definitely a sample, and it may or may not be biased. Okay, types of sampling. There are 5 of these. We're going to talk about these, and then we're going to do examples in just a second. Oops. Random sampling is it's one of those examples like when they have raffle tickets and they put all the numbers in a pot and they reach in and pull one out. That's random sampling. Maybe like lottery tickets, how they get those numbers. You haven't been, but if you ever get on a jury, that's the way they pick your name. If you're on a jury pool, they take this thing it's so old-fashioned. Maybe somewhere else has a more not old-fashioned way, but it's kind of like bingo. They have this little thing and they roll it around, they reach in and pull out a number, and if it's your number, then you might get chosen for the jury. So you go out there and have to answer questions. So all of those are random sampling. Everybody has an equal chance of being drawn. They're all put into the hat or the pot or whatever, then you reach in and pull it out. So that's a pretty unbiased way of sampling if you can put everybody in there. That's what happens most of the time. Not everybody's put in. Systematic sampling. This is done by drawing every nth item or person. Nth can be any number. Like, I might count people walking down the hall and pick every 10th person to ask a question to. This is done a lot for quality control, like in factories. They might check every 100th, I'm stuck on Nestle today. Every 100 TV dinner of lasagna to make sure it's the right temperature and was made the right way and things like that. They're not going to check every single one of them because that would just take forever. But if they systematically check every so often, then it would be hopefully an unbiased sample. The next one is cluster sampling. So the main term to recognize here is that it says geographic. It has to do with location. So one way of doing this is if they're asking questions about something in a particular city, like in Jonesboro, they would want to make sure that if they're doing a survey that they ask people in every part of town. So north side, south side, east side, west side. They'd want to make sure that they got all those. Or if it was about students, then they'd want to, or high school students, they'd want to make sure that they ask a certain number of students from every school in Jonesboro. Or maybe they would go based on zip code, because zip code has to do with where you live. So those are all examples of cluster sampling. The next one is stratified sampling. This is when you divide people and you pick people based on certain characteristics. So if it has to do with a survey, then it depends on what the question is, how they would make sure that they got everybody. For example, if it was some kind of celebration of some kind of religious holiday, then you'd want to make sure that you had all the different religions included in that survey. Or if it's just for, since I'm more familiar with the Christian holiday, then you want to make sure you had all the denominations. So you could divide these based on any characteristics, like it could be religion, it could be gender, it could be race, it could be what your major is in college. I mean, it could be, depends on whatever. So they want to make sure that they've spread it out based on whatever the survey is. And one more, convenience sampling. This one is usually very biased. Because it's convenient. So convenience sampling is like the one you see on TV the most, like on E-News or something, where they are asking people as they come out of a movie theater if they liked a certain movie. You know, maybe they'll ask the first 10 people they see or whatever. That's a great way to get some feedback. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with it, other than it is biased, because the fact that those people are actually there seeing that movie means that they're a little more likely to like that movie. You know, obviously they wouldn't have paid to go see that movie if they didn't think they would like it. So they already have some biases. Now, you may get some people that come out and say they didn't like it, and that's fine. But it is somewhat biased. So, like if they ask people, you know, first 10 or 20 people coming out of the cafeteria some kind of question, it's biased because who knows, you know, what, if you have a good sample of the population by asking just the first few people that come out of the cafeteria a certain question. So it is somewhat biased. That's just the way it is. So, okay, so here's what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to read a scenario. Go ahead and get your computer out. And I'm going to have you, mark which one of these it is. And it's not for a grade. I just want to see how we're doing on this. So, and you don't have to write this down. So A is going to be random sampling. B is systematic. C is clustered. D is stratified. And E is convenience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a scenario to you, and then I want you to click on Google Classroom. I'll pull the question up in a second. Which letter do you think it is?